Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to the number 2 video in this series. We're going right through the ink flight number 22, the November 2018 ink flight. And so today our ink is this one right here, this beautiful green Namsan by 3 Oysters, which is made in Korea. So let's dive right in. My goodness, this ink has really taken me by surprise. It's really quite beautiful. Let's see how it does first in the bath test. We'll let that run while we're going through everything. Okay, and then I want to show you yesterday's ink. Yesterday's was the 3 Oysters Purple Gray, and it did retain quite a bit. You can see, even though it took a complete dunk in the water, you can still read what was on the page. It's no longer that dusty purple. It's just sort of a, you know, dark gray or black, but I just wanted to update you on that. So let's just dive right into the Rhodia Gold book. This is where I start pretty much everything for ink journal stuff. And here we are. So we've got 2 in there now, and it'll all get real colorful before we're finished. Okay, so right away, as soon as I got this in a nib, the difference was very drastic in terms of how well this flowed. It just, compared to the yesterday's, the purple gray, this was really, really smooth. I had a lot of problems writing, yesterday, and so, although some of that could have been me adjusting to the nib, this was like night and day. And this ink, it's interesting to me as well, because for the 38 mil bottle, it's $2 more. I went back to double check, because I thought, oh, the purple gray was $16 for the 38 mil bottle, and I thought I'd made a mistake. So I went back in, and no, sure enough, it's $2 more. So I don't know, this must be in a different, you know, a little bit different category from them. But here it is on the Tomoe River paper, and it's coming across really dark. We're not having a whole lot of natural light. Okay, I'm wondering if you could see that glint that I'm seeing. It's kind of a blue sheen that appears. And I only see it on the Tomoe River paper. I don't see it other places, but that's very interesting what it does. So it's available at Anderson pens and Goulet pens for the same price. But then the difference there is Anderson does the 3 mil samples for $1.85. And I believe I saw it was $1.75 for the Goulet sample. That's by memory though, so I have to kind of wonder if that's really what I saw. My first impressions are, like I said, it just flows much better than the other ink. And you know, this is a totally different shade, and it's higher saturation and everything, but there was a huge difference in the nib. Both the fine nib, which is down here, and the stub, the 1.1 millimeter stub. And I like the shade. It's really dark, nice green. The camera's making it just slightly darker, but we're not getting too much distortion. So let's hop into the other notebooks, and I think we'll end up with a pretty balanced view. This is the Cafe Note by Nanami Paper Company that I have so much trouble finding another one, but it's Tomoe River paper, and this one has a 7 millimeter line on it, and I really like it. So I've written with the stub in the Serendipity, and with a fine number 6 nib in the Heinz custom pen that I have. So we could see both, and was really interesting today how nicely that color comes through even in the fine nib. That's an opinion, I realize, but so this is just where I where I catalog my journey toward health, or more health with intermittent fasting and low carb, and everything's going really well. So but I think you can notice too that this it stays nice and green, and it shows up nice in a fine number 6 nib. So that was really important to learn. And it was just nothing like yesterday where I mean, I realize they're different colors, but I was just having trouble with how that looked. I didn't think it looked good. It wasn't dark enough for me. And again, with that ink, I feel like with the purple ink, you really needed a stub or a broad or something. And with this one, I think you could use anything you wanted, is what it appears to me, because that's a nice green that's coming through. So, okay. try to stop the editorializing. I just seem to do it. Okay, and then in here, this is where I'm doing my November gratitudes, and I'll continue it as a gratitude journal. I like to just get the ink down so that we can kind of see how it looks on this beautiful paper. So I do that on this side, and then I do my thanks and my gratitude on the other side. And I really like this color. It took me by surprise. I didn't realize it was going to end up looking so pretty in the nib. It just shows you that a ink index or swatch and even the watercolor effect doesn't tell you how it's going to look in a nib. So let's do that now. Let's go ahead and look at a bunch of different samples. Here's Tomoe River paper, and I'll try to hold it up so you can really see it. So there we have it. One in the stub, and then the bottom one is in the fine number 6 nib. It really flowed perfectly. Of course, it was doing really well on everything in the stub, but it flowed really nicely. That's what that little smiley face is about on the Tomoe River paper. I was really pleased with that. And normally fine nib is not my cup of tea whatsoever. But I could get used to it if it would flow that way and be smooth. This is the Oysters, 1917. And again, nice and saturated and pretty there in the stub. And I thought it looked really good in the fine nib too. Too bad we're not getting 100% what the eye sees. But it's dark and stormy again. I don't feel like I'm in South Texas at all. I used to love this kind of weather, but I'm rethinking that. This is Clairefontaine, 90 gram. Nice and no flow issues whatsoever. No like dragging or, you know, feeling like hands on a chalkboard whatsoever on this. With either of these nibs, so that was nice. I just don't like, I guess, a dry ink on the Clairefontaine or the Rhodia. And this wasn't a dry ink. This is nice. Here they are on the Rhodia dot pad, 80G paper. Again, really, really nice writing experience. And hopefully you can see, you know, how that fine nib is coming out. Okay, then on CVS caliber paper. Here they are. And that's dark enough ink that I didn't even notice, you know, just at first glance. And I didn't have any problems with it. You know, like yesterday I put the unsmiley face. That's when it's particularly bad or good. I'll do a little indicator because that'll tell me, because I keep these in a folder. I will have this data to refer back to, and it makes a difference. It helps me anyway. You know, and then one day I'll probably have to recycle it all because I've been on the clutter mission here in my office. Oh my goodness. I'll talk about that at the end. But anyway, last paper now is the Office Depot College Ruled notebook, and it was really nice on there. Really smooth. It tends to be, you know, every once in a while we have bleed through. So let's look at that just to be sure. No, I see heavy shadowing with the stub nib, but I don't see what I would call bleed through. There, right above my thumbs is where that was written, and it's not bad at all. Huh, well, that was a splatter from the other day. So, hopefully that's of use and helpful to you in some way. Let's go ahead and look at the color panel. I did a dedicated color panel for today. Oh, on our way to see that, well, I'll be darned. There's quite a bit of, it almost looks like an olive green staying on there. That is interesting. We'll see, you know, I always let them stay as I'm cleaning up my desk, and then I, you know, pretty much always about the same amount of time get them out and dry them. Yeah, I was going to say, did I show you the one from yesterday? I don't even remember. But I did. I remember now. Okay, so here's our panel. And this was really interesting. I don't have so many green, whereas on blue and purple, I have a lot of different inks. So, but I did what I could find that was sort of in that same zone, and then it was really interesting too. I managed to get both of our greens from this ink flight on this one panel, and see how that both of them come out with a lot of blue, and we're going to see it more on the visual journal in a minute. But there's a lot of blue and kind of yellow or mustard color coming out in this, and it's kind of the same here, but with a little brighter. So the jade, the one that we're going to do at the end of this series, it's very interesting how that is. It's similar. I mean, it's not the same. There's more blue and there's a brighter yellow, but I don't know. That was the first thing I noticed. I was really interested in that. And then, darn, I got the Diamine Sherwood green so far away from it. Probably would have been better up here. But I think we can see that there's some similarities, and yet it's way different ink. It's way different. This has a darker, more foresty green look to it. And wait till you see the visual journal. It's just amazing. And then, of course, Monteverde Olivine looked more of a, you know, olive color, or that deep green kind of, not khaki, but there's another word for it I can't think of. Oh, my goodness. So hopefully some of these, like Lamy green, might show you, you know, this is a bright green. Oh, I'm seeing distortion, too, because what I'm seeing through the camera that you may be seeing kind of turns that Lamy green almost toward a bluish, and it isn't. So that has to do with lighting. And I'm not sure if there's anything I can really do about it. Probably not. It's so dark outside. This is the lightest, brightest part of the day today so far, and I waited as long as I could to, you know, do this. Tomorrow's going to be a fire drill all day, so probably won't be a video tomorrow. But there'll be a little time for prep later in the day so that Wednesday I can get on. But so there you have it. I had other greens on other panels, but these kind of came into the ballpark closer, I thought. When we do this one, I have a few more to compare for you, because I do have a few brighter ones that I can remember from Robert Oster, I remember. And so we'll get into that later on when we cover that one. That's like the number 7 ink. So let's look at the visual journal. This was just incredible. Just incredible what this ink did when you know, and like I've been saying, I put the water down with a thick paintbrush, and then I just make sure it's not running all over the floor. In other words, I just make sure with my finger that I distribute it. And then I put a drop or two of ink. And this just happens, you know. It happens, and sometimes, you know, I'll tilt it like this, and then it'll drip. So this was just astounding. I know that you can see, because I can tell, I'm looking up through the top. It came out like turquoise and yellowy and greens, different, you know, real dark, all the way to, you know, kind of a light green. And it was just stunning. There's nothing, and it's odd to me that on this it's looking more like it should look, and Lamy green just distorted. So I have no idea what's the reason for that. There's probably a photo optical explanation, and I think I've heard a few viewers have tried to explain it to me, but I'm not very good at understanding the science behind color and light, and why sometimes it doesn't come through. But no matter what, you could see on this, it almost looks like trees in a storm, or, you know, like, I don't know what the blue, how you'd explain that, but it definitely looks woodsy, and it reminds me just a little bit of some of the more decorative art that I've seen from other people. But this isn't art. This is just me dropping ink drops and then being delighted by what happens. So pretty interesting. I look forward to this part a lot. I seem to really enjoy this. So anyway, so now some of you may just be tuning in for this video, or for this ink. So let me just show you the pens real quick. I'm using the Serendipity, which is a hybrid fountain pen, fountain and dip pen with a regular, let's see, a regular feed and nib. And right now for this series, we all kind of decided to go with the 1.1 stub, because it kind of changes it up. I've been using a broad nib, which I absolutely adore, but I am wanting to write better with a stub. So this is fun, and it shows, you know, a little bit of different. And then a wonderful viewer had this suggestion, and I know it wasn't the first time, but it's the first time I was willing to kind of look into it and try, you know, with a fine nib too, which maybe next time we'll use a medium, you know, and then we'll start to. So this is the Heinz custom pen. It's called a Blue Storm that I won in a drawing from Larry's Fountain Pens almost a year ago, I think. And it's gorgeous. I don't have anything else like this in my collection in terms of workmanship, you know, color and stunningness. Really, I don't. And then I've got a fine nib on it, which is either a Yowo or a Bach, and I'm not sure. I don't even know how to tell. It has a tiny little F for fine, and it's pretty standard. It's a number 6 nib. So for this whole series, these are the pens I'll use, and then we'll look at it again and probably do a little switching so that eventually everybody will get to see the nib choice they like, I guess. You know, and we get generalities after a while. So let's look at this one more time. And then I had a little off-topic thing to talk about just for a minute. Yeah, that's weird, but there you have it. And it'll probably come out of here pretty, you know, maybe within 20 minutes as I'm cleaning my desk after the video. And then I'll dry it and show you again. But I guess what I wanted to talk about was something really kind of weird. I'm working and struggling with the issue of not acquiring more pens. You know, like I really know that I have enough pens, and I certainly have enough inks and things like that. So I was getting back into a book that I visited years ago when I was helping another family member that had a real clutter issue, and I wouldn't want to show you all my office right now. Actually, here's the book. It's called Buried in Treasures. And at first glance, you'd think, oh, it's just a book about hoarding. But it isn't. It's really, really about the whole spectrum of collecting, acquiring, saving, keeping, the whole thing, you know. And we all kind of fall somewhere on that line. Maybe not if we're minimalists and we have kind of gotten that part of our lives, you know, things under control. I'm not saying everybody, but I would venture to bet that most of us have a lot of everything, and sometimes it gets to be. But what I liked about this was in the book. It has a card you can kind of fold and carry with you, and it says, I cannot get this unless I plan to use it within the next month. Well, imagine that with all the ink that I already have, for instance, or, you know, I have enough money right now to pay for it. Okay, so like, even though it's a limited edition, but if I don't have the money, cash money, I don't mean credit card. So that's interesting too. That would be another stopper. I have a place to put it so it doesn't add to the clutter. Okay, see, I do this with paper stuff all the time. I get real cluttery. I'm sure I truly want this and will not return it. Well, I never return pen things, but acquiring this item is consistent with my goals. Okay, so I need to come up here and work. It says my goals for reducing acquiring are, and I want to achieve these goals. Okay, and a lot of times for me that turns into how it translates is, yes, I want this pen and maybe I can afford it. Maybe I do have the cash to buy the pen or the pen sleeve or the notebook or whatever. But when I start testing, do I need it and am I going to use it within the next month? And when I think about the other goals, like saving for a trip or, you know, paying off any existing loans or whatever. So this was really neat because it, like, you don't need the whole book. This was kind of cool. And then questions to ask yourself, because I think this time of year is really hard. Do I already own something similar? Am I buying this because I feel bad, angry, depressed, etc.? Will I regret getting this in a week? Could I manage without it? Well, yes, mostly, yes. Do I have enough time to fix or use this, or do I have more important priorities? Do I want it just because I'm looking at it now? Yeah, I went and watched a video today about a new, like a Montana Retro 51 fountain pen, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, I would have never known it existed. Will not getting this help me solve my, and it says hoarding problem, but I'm going to say clutter. Because that's really where I'm coming from, is I do have a lot of clutter, and some of it's really good stuff, and some of my issue is just organization, you know. And I didn't bring this up to put a damper on us buying pen things or buying inks or anything, but it is interesting, like, if I just froze the frame today and I got nothing for like a year, you know, pens, inks, or anything, I guarantee I'd still be writing and still be enjoying the hobby. In fact, I I'm enjoying the letter writing more now that I'm focused in on each ink. So it's kind of cool. So next, because I just got on a soapbox. Sorry about that. Oh boy, I don't do that every day. But next is mustard. So that will be for the next video, which is, I'm aiming for Wednesday, because tomorrow, which is November 13, is a, I already know, one of those days. So this will be the next one, and I thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And let me know, you know, if you have any goals of keeping your pens and inks where they are, or even just getting through like the holidays and putting, you know, shifting your focus somewhere else just until January or something like that. I'm really interested to know, because I don't see it like as a deprivation. I look around at everything that I have, and I say we too, because I think we're all kind of similar. And I realize that if we, if I can enjoy a little 2 mil ink sample, you know, for the entire day, and lately it's been like 2 days, because like right now I'm not going to clean this out of the pen. I'll finish the day writing with it, and probably if I have any time tomorrow, then I would continue, and then in the evening I would load up with mustard. That'll be the next one. So, okay, I'm going to go now. I promised I was going to stop talking. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.